An article by Thomas Halifax.
What holds society together? A love for humanity, common values, cultural ideas? What is the real glue that holds things together? The short answer is, well, collectivism. And this piece here will be explaining all about this idea. Pick up a kid's science book and go to the ecology part. It should be about half the book by now, I'm sure. There you will find a diagram of some animal and an arrangement of images showing larger groups of the same. What you'll notice is that the groups get bigger and the name changes. It doesn't say 1, 2, 3, more than 3, etc. Big terms are useful, but they come at a cost. That cost is the emotional notion that gets stuck on words. As the individual grows into a society, something gets lost, the individual. It's not all loss, however. More people can mean difficult things can be done more easily. There can be creative breakthroughs or high productivity. However, the gains of this big word that holds all these individuals in it, i.e. collective, creates other unintended or at least unnoticed effects. The average individual generally has good intentions. So how can it be that when people talk about society, the default notion is the survival of the fittest? Peer-to-peer and day-to-day, people in any given area are just trying to either help each other or just leave each other alone. And yet, society is a chaotic dog-eat-dog scrap for resources and power. Like a self-fulfilling fractal prophecy, the beliefs about society or individuals can filter down or expand up along the scale. Changing words doesn't change what things are. A society is just a bunch of individuals. The word by itself is not dangerous, but some of the assumptions it creates are. Behaviors are propelled by beliefs formed from the perception of information. When perception is geared towards appeals to authority and the greater good, the assumption forms that without X, Y would be chaos or not exist. The fog of words can be hard to see through, and it's easier to generalize than to investigate. The ironic counterproductive outcomes can be seen strewn throughout human history. The pattern hardly ever changes form, but sometimes changes style. People fear a thing, a leader steps up to get justice or protect the innocent or your slogan here, and then mobs of people begin enforcing the most ridiculous stuff you've ever heard. So all to the tune of, quote, we have to because XYZ thing will happen, or XYZ is in danger. Whatever fear gets lodged into the mass mind becomes an unquestionable rationalization for so many absurd destructive acts that it's difficult to see how more individuals haven't picked up on them. Collectivists reached the conclusion that the activities of the average person can't be trusted, and for reasons of safety or peace or some other equally vague nonsense, the will of others must follow convention. Go to school, get a degree, work a job, make money, retire, then go fishing. Outside of the cookie-cutter life is a lot of uncertainty. Questioning the common practice is a fearful notion, and going against the grain is unpleasant. This fear is the danger of collectivism. Large groups of individuals trying to maintain and contain the will of every other individual in a huge appeal to fear. The fears driving collectivism could fill volumes, but thankfully, we don't need any of that information, because the solution is always the same. Do what everyone else tells you to do. Forced participation is the hallmark of collective fears. When an individual wants to strike out on their own, do something new, or just live a life outside the contemporary, the fear-addled mob will cry and scream chaos. Forget about travel, construction, and gardening without the loving eye of the paranoid and fear-ridden masses striking their hired thugs on you for breaking the rules of society. Social pressure is a hell of a drug. It's one that seems to have a strong effect on the reasoning of ordinary people. We all live together on the planet, so everyone has to go along with the systems that are in place. Everyone has to work, make money, stay in line, obey the rules, respect the leader. Otherwise, society falls apart. All the rationalizations are wrapped up nice and neat in the minds of the collectivist. Independent free will is dangerous. Stupid people ruin it for everyone because people can't be trusted to make good decisions. There are bad guys everywhere, and the only thing we can do is obey the bad guy in charge. You may not be allowed to live the way you really want to, but at least you're free to participate. Now, of course, some of this article has some sarcasm. I hope you can detect it. But basically, if you really want to live the life you want to live, then you would be promoting voluntarism, which is the idea that everybody goes about their life voluntarily, meaning there's no violence or force telling people how to live their own lives. Because it's their own lives. They own themselves. If you just recognize mere self-ownership, you wouldn't condone taxation, which is taking somebody's labor, their own money, what they earn for themselves. You wouldn't take away from them their business. You would allow them to make their own choices. Now, that doesn't mean that there isn't rules for if you have your own business or your own house and you don't want certain people in it, or you don't want certain things happening. There's always going to be rules. The question is, do you need to have rulers making those rules? And a ruler implies authority. And is there authority vested in certain human beings? Now, I can say there's leaders. I might want to emulate their actions. They're really inspiring. They're people who have done good deeds, but I'm now voluntarily choosing to follow them. Am I going to use violence against the people who don't want to voluntarily choose to follow them? Because now they're an authority who must be obeyed rather than a leader who is really inspiring and great to follow. See, there's a big difference between leader and master and slave, okay? Or leader versus authority, in quotes. So I'm going to put some questions on the screen for you because I want you to think about this for yourself in case you haven't, about your own belief system. And the solution to statism, which is that belief system in authority, is voluntarism. So be sure to look into it. Go to deliberator.us. That's deliberator.us. If you want to send us your article, we'll turn into a video for you. But there's also a bunch of resources on there and a weekly newsletter. Be sure to print and share with everybody you know because this is information independent media, mainstream media will not be telling you. Thank you very much for watching. Corey Edmund Nendrelot, deliberator.us.